What's going on, everybody? Death Beach here. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I sat down with Kevin Savage from Kevin Savage TV. You should go subscribe to his channel right now. And we talked about NFTs. He's approaching everything a little bit more from the side of a producer selling beat exclusives and possibly sample packs, things like this. And as you guys know, I'm a little bit more on helping artists and things of that nature. I definitely want to help producers as well. But if you were looking for something a little bit more specific, geared towards, beat leases, things like that, he's talking about those things on his channel, and we do discuss that in this video. So if you could do both of us a favor and subscribe to my channel and like this video to help push it out into the algorithm, and then go over and give him a subscribe and like the video over there as well. But basically, the more you guys like the videos and subscribe, it helps me out, but it also puts this content in front of other people that are looking for this type of content. And the more people we bring into the space right now, the more innovation that is going to happen. Right now, there's just not a lot of us. So without further ado, enjoy the video.
I'm just, so what I'm doing is I record with both the Zoom, which is what I'm about to start, and I record with my, I use Webflow, which isn't the only one out there, but it's the one that I paid for. So those are the two that I use. It allows me to basically edit it better, like later on. So just to, because like Zoom, so I can hide these there. Oh, don't need to not touch the mouse. All right. Zoom will, Zoom, the way that it like exports its audio, or it's like visuals, does like a back and forth thing. And so like if I wanted to like move you to the side or have it like up and down or whatnot, Webflow, I can export the audio. It takes, or the video, it takes a while, but like I've got more control because I'm just like straight up recording what's on my screen. It's not great if I were to like bounce around and like do like a screen share and stuff like that, but for like our purposes of just like conversation, it's great. And then I upload it into Adobe Premiere usually, and that's where I'll like edit out this little like recording symbol that Zoom gives me in the top corner, and stuff like that. I'll just throw like a little box over it and just hide it. Also, like I've noticed there's some like vocal like latency sometimes with like the Zoom recording, so this is just the better one. Also, like I've learned not to use AirPods because you get the same shit. So.
Nice. And where do they store it at? Is it like stored on their servers, or
Zoom?
Is it record? Like where's it record at?
Zoom.
To your computer?
Yeah, it just records and then it exports it to the computer. ScreenFlow, which is what I'm using, it's all on my computer. So I'll just record it. Like I said, we could try to get this. I'll try to get I'll try to get you the stuff by like Friday, so that way, maybe hopefully sooner, so you can at least like schedule an upload for Saturday, because I'm planning on like releasing the video at like Saturday at like 1, which is, I usually do Mondays at 1, but just to get it out sooner rather than later, we'll have it ready for that, because it's pretty easy. It's just bouncing out, uploading it into Premiere, hiding the recording symbol over here, chopping this piece of the conversation out, and then sending it to Media Encoder, and then it's done. And I'll probably put it in a Mediafire, depending on how long this conversation is, I'll probably put it in like a Mediafire Dropbox type thing and send it to you. Normally I use WeTransfer, but if it's a really big file, WeTransfer just says fuck you. So
I use Mediafire too. That's
I hate the like the scamminess it feels like the pop-ups feel like I'm on like a torrent website, but sometimes it's the most reliable sometimes. So so, but
nice.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at there. But yeah, let me know when you're ready to like start, and then we can do like our introductions. We can do introduction things at the end as well. And we can go from there. And do you have some like thoughts, questions that you're thinking about asking and stuff like that? Or
I had a couple of things that to ask you specifically, because I think that we
are coming from like a little bit of different angles, and like there is definitely some stuff more from like how a producer can use NFTs that like I've thought about. You know, in your research, what kind of stuff you found.
Cool.
So yeah, cool. I got a couple things.
Cool.
And real quick, I also too, like, I haven't really done a whole lot of these. Like my channel's really brand new.
No worries.
So yeah, so well, as far as like doing intros and stuff like that, yeah, just walk me through all that.
Yeah, I'll just start off. It's usually when I do the intros, I just usually like, you know, I just basically mostly just talk about like my social media handle type stuff. It's just kind of one of those, like where we can find it, you know, welcome to the channel. And actually for this one, since we'll probably both be uploading the same video, I won't do any like welcome to the channel. I'll record that my own later to just do like a kind of an intro into this video.
Okay.
But we'll just do like the social media handles right off the bat, just so that way you can, my stuff is on your video and then your stuff is on my video.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So so the intro's already basically happened at this point. So as you can imagine, you can find Kevin Savage on Twitter at Kevin Savage NYC, and on Instagram at Kevin Savage NYC. So make sure to check those things out. And make sure to join the Discord.
Nice. What's up, guys? Death Beach here, and you can find me at Death Beach on YouTube and at Death Beach _ on Instagram.
Awesome. So, let's do some like a little bit of backgrounds of each other. I mean, if those of you watching my channel right now, you know already about my background. I do a lot of content that's related to teaching people how to do different like production techniques and whatnot. But lately, we've been chatting a lot about NFTs, which is the bulk of the conversation today. And what about yourself?
Yeah, my background is more production. My channel is pretty new. My Instagram's based around like production tips, things like that, mostly for vocalists.
Cool.
And the YouTube channel, I was doing tutorials, and then I just started doing the NFT stuff, and the reaction's been pretty wild.
Yeah.
To it. So I've kind of just been moving with that.
No, I definitely agree. I had heard about NFTs, so I have a Discord, and it's been, you know, steadily growing because of the NFT conversation. But there was one of the guys who's one of the mods on my channel. I was talking about crypto, and it was during the Wall Street Bets stuff. And I've always kind of had a little bit of money in crypto, just to kind of, been fun watching it grow essentially. And, you know, he went over, was like, yo, you should check out NFTs. And I'm like, I have no fucking clue what this is. This is like early January. Like, so it's honestly like, I actually watched some of your videos before doing my video, and kind of just as kind of like, what are people saying about it? And so that was like some of your, I think one of your earlier videos was something that I may have stumbled upon, where you just kind of talked a little, because I was like, hey, what is anyone talking about this? And so that's when I like stumbled upon your video, kind of watched a little, I don't remember which one it was specifically, but watched a little bit. I think you were mentioning Rack and kind of like maybe Deadmau5. I think it was something like that. And I was like, oh, okay. And then that kind of led me down that rabbit hole. And that's when I was like, started thinking, and my brain started turning, and I was like, huh. And that's when I wrote out this kind of little white paper and shared it with a couple people on Reddit. And so it mixed feelings. Some people were like, I don't understand. Why would someone want to buy a beat? Because mine is based around the idea of beat producers being able to create and mint NFTs as a way to essentially sell a beat license before it gets released. Like, that was kind of my perspective on how the NFTs could be used. But then I was like, you know what, I'm going to make a video to try to explain this stuff to folks, and release that video. It was a shitty video that's honestly missing some slides, and I had to re-release it. So I've got 2 videos of the same video out because I didn't want to kill the momentum. And it just started like literally, I'd never seen one of my videos just go as fast as it went. And it was kind of this perfect storm of, I gave an idea of like how I think it could work. I broke it down as simple as possible with like a slideshow. It's a boring as fuck video. And then I uploaded it at just the right time before like everyone on Clubhouse started talking about it, and like Twitter and Illmind and yada yada yada. So it was kind of this like perfect storm. Now like it's everywhere.
Right.
Like Shawn Mendes, I think, has his own NFT and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, but so yeah, and I'm sure you felt the same. I mean, I've seen some of your numbers, and you got a couple of videos that have really spiked up regarding NFTs for how small our channels are.
Right. Yeah, I actually, somebody interviewed you recently, and you had mentioned like, yeah, I don't know. And then I did this NFT video, and my views just skyrocketed, and I hadn't even gone back and looked at mine. And I was like, oh shit, I should go check mine out. And I looked, and I couldn't even, like, you know, all my videos are like maybe 100 views, 200 views, whatever. And like my one NFT video is like almost at like 9,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, no, it's been crazy. And I'm sure you've probably seen a decent bit of growth for like just your subscriber count.
Oh yeah, the subscribers are through the roof.
Yeah. I've never seen that many subscribers, that number jump up as fast in a day. It's like each day. At first, it was like each day I was hitting like 100, and then it kind of died out, and now it's like 25, 30 a day, and it's just like I'm just like, come on, let's hit that 1,000, let's hit that 1K, right. Let's hit that 1K. So it's been pretty cool, and so like not even really. I plan on releasing more content for that stuff, but I got to figure out like what do I got to talk? What should I be talking about? So yeah. And I think the little dip in the crypto space kind of made me be like, this will be interesting how NFTs, because NFTs, while crypto kind of dipped a little bit, NFTs kind of, the popularity kind of grew, which I think is really interesting, but it makes sense because when the price of the crypto goes down, there's the possibility of gas fees potentially going down, although they're still pretty high. And then, so it's interesting, kind of the relationship, this yin and yang relationship between the Ethereum blockchain and its crypto and its value, and kind of the rise of the NFT space. But
I kind of feel like the NFTs are doing what DeFi did last year, where DeFi was all the rage and all this money went into it, and all the money was going in at a time whenever Bitcoin and Ethereum was kind of going down.
Right.
And then, and then it kind of mellowed out. And then now DeFi is kind of its own thing, but it's raging, but not raging like it was last year. And
decentralized finance, DeFi?
Yeah, decentralized finance.
Gotcha.
And the DeFi and the way it's going to be tying in with NFTs is also going to be really interesting. I don't know if you've looked into anything with that.
I haven't. My experience with NFTs is probably more rudimentary than yours. I understand the concept, and but I haven't digged in as deep as you have, because you've really made that like a piece of your channel. This was kind of like a topic that I wanted to cover and introduce this concept and really try to get the music community thinking about how they can make it work for them, and hopefully inspiring people who are developers and people in the music space to really try to create a true space for music NFTs or beat NFTs. That's kind of been my passion, less so on the commentary and stuff like that. For me, it's more the theoretical. But yeah, I continue. Sorry, that's kind of my background.
That's okay. Actually, I'm curious though, like with like beat leases.
Yeah.
How do you see it working?
So, I see beat NFTs as being the kind of this new space for producers to be able to release exclusives without being able to make money a little quicker. So what I mean by that is in the beat space, you've got non-exclusive licenses, which are like the BeatStars licenses, right? They're the MP3 license for $34 or $35. the standards for like 50 to 100, and then the premiums for like 200, and then the exclusive is always the question mark, right? Like, what is the producer willing to part with? And that, in my opinion, has really kind of devalued beats. Now, it isn't to say that that there isn't a space for that, and I think my conversation with Botmop, which might have been the person that you're talking about, I still see a place for non-exclusive licenses, and I'm working on some stuff where I'm kind of doing a little ebook on like licenses and some thoughts about it, but it still has a place, right? There's always going to be a place for, and I know this is going to sound derogatory, there's always still going to be a place for Dollar Trees and Walmarts, right? And so there's, and I see it as like, listen, if you've got beats that you like, but you're not in love with, putting them on BeatStars, someone's going to find it, right? Someone's going to still appreciate that beat. And releasing it at a price that's not premium allows for artists who are new to the space, who aren't beat makers or aren't instrumentalists, to be able to practice their craft, maybe release a track. So I think there's still going to be a place for these discounted tracks that are non-exclusive, that, yeah, anyone could theoretically buy and lease, and maybe you and 100 other people have the same lease, but there's always still going to be a place for that. I see the NFT space as being a space for boutique, bespoke, these like very premium quality tracks and samples and stuff like that, that allow the same producer who is out there putting tracks on BeatStars to be able to take the precious beats that they have, that they're like, this could be the next one, and rather than having to really like go out there and hustle to get it placed, could release it theoretically on as an NFT, and it may find a buyer a little quicker. Because unfortunately, in the beat production space, there's a lot of, you make these beats that you're in love with, and then you try to market them out, and yeah, you might get a little attention here, a little attention there, but I can't tell you how many times I've been in conversations with folks who, they're relatively big names or were big names, and there was interest and a lot of talk about, oh, I really like this. This has got soul. This has got energy. This has got emotion. This is better than anything else I've said. And then I'm ghosted. It's like, right. I'm waiting for that. Okay, well, are we going to do this? I'm excited. And then nothing. Or they go with someone else, And so having a space where I can release that same content and say, you know what? I'm going to put it up into the market, and I'm going to let the market decide how much is this beat worth. Because I believe it's worth a bunch, but I want to make the market decide. That, to me, is what NFTs allow. Now, there's some caveats to it, right? There's the side of, well, for one, you can't be putting up shit. Like, it needs to be good stuff. And that's, I think, what Ill Mind made a comment about, where he's like, yo, you can't be releasing bullshit. Like, you have to be releasing quality content in general. Right, and there's a lot of trash. Like there legitimately is a lot of trash NFTs out there, but that's just the reality of any market, right? There's still going to be bullshit out there, but if you want NFTs to work for you as a producer, you have to release NFTs that are quality, and you have to market them. You have to go out there and hustle those NFTs still. You can't sit around, especially with how much work it is for an individual to go out there and purchase an NFT. I mean, you've made videos on like setting up MetaMask, and these are the steps you got to do, and like, listen, you better be fucking doing this shit. That stuff still has to be done, and since you've got extra hurdles for someone to cross, you better be releasing stuff that's worth it, and or no one's gonna buy it. And then you've got the gas fees, which they're made, then the service fees that are gonna go in. Right. So you don't want someone to buy your NFT and then be disappointed in it. So. Right. Obviously, I think some of those pieces are going to change. I think the workflow is going to get a little easier. I think there's going to be, the wallet system is going to become a little more straightforward. I think that the marketplaces are going to be easier to navigate. They're not going to look like they were developed in like 1995, right? Like, I think the gas fees are going to go down because people are going to choose cryptos that are lower in gas fees, maybe like Cardano or some of these other ones that are also doing multi-asset. So I think that it's going to become easier to release as NFTs, and there's going to be like less hurdles you have to jump through. But right now, if you want to be part of making history, you better be releasing high quality NFTs with high quality artwork and that have a purpose. And you better be marketing those. You better be out there plugging your shit on Reddit. You got to be out there in those Discord. Like, honestly, Discord and Telegram is the best place for people interested in NFTs to live, because those are the communities that are really like making these a reality. I see like Clubhouse, which is definitely talking about it as being kind of a place to introduce NFTs to like the normies, but it's the Discord and the Telegram is where all the real conversation is happening. And so if you want to get the whales to buy your content, you need to be out there plugging your shit, marketing your shit, and doing that. Otherwise, just like anything, like you have to build the brand. You know, you got to build the brand.
Right.
Which is why Illmind can release a NFT beat pack or sample pack, and it go like literally go up to $6,000 for this sample pack, because he's a Grammy Award winning artist, so he's done the legwork beforehand. He's built a phenomenal brand in the beat maker space, specifically targeting them. He's got high quality samples, and he knew the right place and right time. So because of that, he was able to find success. Don't expect to release a sample pack and tomorrow it sell for $6,000. Like, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, actually, I have a funny story. Last year in like October, he was doing bidding on USB sticks.
Okay.
That he was releasing to his email list, and I had emailed him back, and I was like, "Bro, you need to be doing NFTs." And he actually emailed me back, and he's like, "They're on the way." And I was like, "Oh, holy shit!" And then here we are, just a few months later. But yeah, in my videos, I covered that. I was like, I know a big name producer that's already got this in the bag.
Yeah.
And speaking of like all the planning and everything, the DJ Blau, his record just did really well.
Yeah.
And I watched an interview with him, and he was like, I've been working on an NFT record for like 5 years, like how it would all work, everything that would go into it. I mean, he's real big onto like the coding side of it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He's actually consulting Audius, which is a crypto like platform for music. So he consults them, and he's been in the space for a really long time. And he was also talking about all the other people that are doing music NFTs right now. Like, they didn't decide in February this was going to be hot shit.
No,
they already knew that this was coming, and so they did plan it.
And that really speaks to, listen, if you want to be in the process of making history, you have to be thinking what's next, right?
Right.
And I remember several years back when I used to live in Orange County, I was friends with some producers in LA, and they were, I mean, this was when Big Room House was like, everyone was doing Big Room House, right? And this is before really tech house really took over. But they were always like, listen, you have to stay ahead of the curve, whether that's in crypto, whether that's in music production, whether that's in sound design, or kind of how you conceptualize your audio. You always have to be ahead of the curve. And so that comes with saying like really researching, and Reddit, Twitter, I mean, more so Reddit and Discord, but even Twitter to some extent, those are the places where you are going to find kind of that information, and message boards, but those are definitely really hard to find the right ones. That's where you need to be living on some level when you're not producing music, because those are the movers and shakers and the history makers. So like, that's, to me, like, if I can give any advice to like the people who are watching this, that you need, if you care about really like, you know, making shit happen, that's where you got to be. Because I've got people who've hit me up who are like, yo, I'm interested in doing X, Y, or Z, and I'm thinking like, well, I'm down to help you out, because this is something I'm passionate about with NFTs or whatnot, but more than likely there's a million other people who are thinking about this. So shit needs to get going now, because we're already like, we're like in yesterday versus like 3 or 4 weeks ago when it comes to like where this space is. So and things are going to move really fast as people realize how valuable this territory is.
Right.
But then you also have folks who are the naysayers, which I sometimes, especially like have you seen like Alex Becker? Do you know who that guy is?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, I think that he has some. I think he occasionally has some points of value to bring up, but I remember seeing his videos on drop shipping, and he nearly sucked me into that drop shipping guru bullshit. And then I was like, wait a second, like this isn't gonna work. So when I see him shit talking NFTs, I'm like, okay, some of what you're saying has some value. Don't blow, like make sure you're buying something that you think is gonna blow up rather than something that's already blown up, which is like, It's just like buying stock. You shouldn't buy stock when it's here. You need to wait till it falls down a little bit and then buy it, which is not financial advice, but like it's common sense in my opinion. But that's, at the same time, I don't think that NFTs are a giant bubble. There might be bubble-ish elements to them, right? Like, I think that there is definitely some stuff out there that is probably overvalued, but it's just like Rack releasing his cassette NFT, right? Like, it went up, and then it dropped back down to a reasonable number. It was still way more than what you would normally buy a cassette for. But, so there was still more value than normal, but it did go through kind of a boom bust. So.
Yeah, and right now I feel like a lot of focus is on the idea of selling an NFT for like $1 million or getting these huge sums of money. Yeah. And in a lot of my videos, I'm pushing people away from that idea, and it's more about connecting with your fans, or in your case, a producer connecting with a rapper.
Yep.
And yeah, there can be bidding on certain NFTs, and sure, they can go really high, but really we're trying to create a special experience for the people that we're trying to connect with. And then that's what I've kind of been talking about a little bit more. And that's why I think right now we're seeing like the celebrity bubble with the NFTs. But once that mellows out, we'll actually see the real business.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think if you want to capitalize on the celebrity bubble to an extent, you have to enter it with a mindset of how do I stand apart? So I've got a couple of minor NFTs that are just art related that I've released on Mintable just to test out the water on like what I could do and the cost, so I can help people, because I want to, I can't just theorize about NFTs without releasing some NFTs. So I went ahead and released some NFTs just to kind of see the space. And when you think about this space, because right now it's all of the firsts. So it's just like Clubhouse, right? Like, I don't know if you're on Clubhouse, but I was on Clubhouse back in like November when a buddy of mine like invited me in, and I was like, whoa, like this is a space that has a lot of potential to like really blow up. And so I was like, okay, well, Clubhouse has some real estate. I'm going to capitalize on that. And so I went through, and my college, I went to Columbia University. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to create the Columbia University official Clubhouse. And so I did that. And now there's like 2.8, 2,800 or 2,200 followers, because it like suddenly is like everyone wanted Columbia University on their list of clubs there, And so it's like you find that real estate, and you're like, you find something niche, and you find something unique, and you find something interesting, and you have to jump in on that. Like I was half tempted to just create the next the New York Times Clubhouse club and just like stake that real estate, because you don't know, but I think likewise with NFTs, you have to find something unique, like element blocks, for example. Are you familiar with them?
Mm-mm.
So element blocks, the guy basically wrote a little white paper, and his idea was, listen, there's 188 elements or something like that. I'm going to create a one-of-one NFT for each element. And some of those elements are going for like 3 Ethereum. Like and he would release them for like, and they're the simplest thing. They're like a basic color, and then the atomic number and the atomic letters. That's it, right? But some of them are going for a couple of Ethereum. And like I remember when he released his first like 2 or 3 of them, and he made a little website for them and stuff like that. So it's unique. It's an interesting idea. People are people are interested in that. The NFTs that I released like 6 photographs. I studied human rights at Columbia, and so I've got an element of like activism in my background. And so what I did was I created like a handful of NFTs that are, I took an image and I adjusted it. It was images from Abu Ghraib, the torture situation that happened over in the Middle East. And I basically created like a little collection of like human rights violations. And my goal was, I'm going to create these NFTs. Any profit that is made from any proceeds, any of the minting or any of the value that's taken from these, I'm going to donate back to a NGO that fights, torture or fights like human rights violations. So that's kind of like, I mean, they haven't done anything, and I listed them for like $50 or whatnot, something a little bit low. But you got to come in with something unique, right? And you also have to price it right. I see NFTs out there where people set a buy now, and it's only a buy now at like $4,000. I'm like, no one's gonna buy that. Like,
I think you have to be thinking in like terms of like series, right? You have to have something in your shop that's rare, that is worth $4,000, but then you need to have other ones that are $5, so anybody can come to your shop and buy something, because there are going to be a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
But you do need that expensive item that's rare, just in case that one whale rolls in. You know what I mean? And we'll buy it for you.
So you're saying creating, so that could be applied theoretically into the beat space as kind of a marketing tactic, kind of like a sales funnel in a sense, where you kind of upsell in a sense. You start off where you've got like, listen, I've got this like 5 NFTs that I'm going to sell for $5. And they're like a track. Maybe this is kind of in that space of that kind of like non-exclusiveness, right? So you list like 5 tracks or the same track 5 times. You create 5 NFTs. And then you also have a handful of like rare one-of-ones in the same store. And then you basically really market the shit out of the 5. And then you try to get people in to buy those and see the other more unique, exclusive NFTs. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, like, well, where I'm coming from is more with producing an artist, and kind of like what you were talking about with BeatStars. You kind of have your MP3 beats up there.
Yeah.
I'm thinking you put your singles out on Spotify, and then you sell the rest of the album, including the singles, as NFTs in your store. And the singles that are on Spotify, you have the most copies of, and those are the least expensive. And then you have like 6 tracks on your album that are a little bit more rare, and then maybe they come with like a bonus remix, or an unreleased track or extra artwork. And then you have 2 tracks that are each maybe one of one.
Okay.
And one of them comes with maybe some sort of like personal Q&A, like video chat conference or something like that.
Okay.
Along with the remix and the extra artwork. And then maybe the final one, the most expensive one, has everything, but it also includes like, hey, we can write a song together, and it's going to go on my next album.
Yeah, it's essentially a funnel in a sense.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that you would do if you were doing like Russell Brunson's like funnel marketing, where you're like, listen, you've got a couple of tiers based off of how much you're willing to kind of shell out.
Also, like, the idea is you want people to strategize how they're going to get as many of your tracks as possible before they sell out. Am I going to go big on trying to get, the singles, or I know these other tracks are rare, so I better try to get that. Same thing with the beats. There's a producer, and he's got his generic beats, tons of them.
Right.
And you go on his site, and you're like, man, I can get that one for $5, but damn, this other one's $100, and there's only 5 copies. If you don't move on that now, it could be gone later.
That's fair.
So you have to strategize, like, okay, I'll get that one first. I'll spend the $100, and then I'm going to come back and get the $5 ones.
Sure. So here's a question: have you seen some of those things work in like real time? Have you? I know that you've been in the space for a bit, so I'm sure you've seen a number of things sell. Have you seen some of those strategies work decently? Like,
Yes.
in theory,
So
they should work just fine, but
this is exactly how Blau just did his record. So I forget how many songs were on his record, but ultimately, I think there was only so many people that were able to get stuff.
Okay.
And his top tier came with doing. You got to produce a song with him where you could tell him what you kind of wanted to have happen in the song, and then he'll take your ideas and put it into the track. But it also comes with other things like getting backstage at any show. He said the person who holds that NFT for something like the Ultra Dance Festival, the DJs only get so many backstage passes for that,
right.
and the holder of this NFT gets first right of refusal to get backstage to that.
Oh wow, that's huge.
So yeah, he's really hooking them up, and then he's also doing. Then there's like another tier down that comes with a whole bunch of things, but not producing the track. Maybe you get backstage at some shows. And then he has other tracks that came with like extra artwork.
Yeah.
And then and all these ones are more rare. There's less copies of these ones. And then he had a whole bunch of tracks that were like kind of like in this like $5 or $20 range.
Right.
And so he sold a ton of those, obviously.
Cool. So let's go back to Blau, and then we can talk about Clubhouse 2 and talk about that stuff as well. Talk. I have no audio from you right now. Let's do this. I'm gonna end the conversation, bring it back, and then record. I've got it recording on one end, so I'll bring it back and let's do that. All right.
Check.
I can hear you. All right, cool. All right. And then I think what's happening, because I'm recording from ScreenFlow, is I'm using ScreenFlow's audio recorder to record you. So if it's not like if you're not connected or something's not right, it just doesn't record. So and then I can't hear you. But we were talking about Blau before we were rudely interrupted by my disk space. But I think it's really cool, and what I wanted to bring up about this like tiered space and stuff like that, and this is something that I think listeners definitely need to think about, is, and it's a big question that gets brought up, which is like, what's the point? Like, this is just art, or this is just whatever, like, this is just digital shit, like, why does this matter? Does this really have any value? And I think that, like, those aren't great questions in the first place, but these are people who are used to buying, a candy bar for $1, right? They're used to, I give you $1, you give me a physical, real item that has intrinsic value, which is a key word, right? Intrinsic value.
Right.
But
can I tap in right here?
Yeah, tap in.
So, the other day I heard somebody like an interesting statistic, and on Spotify, you pay $10 a month,
right,
for your subscription, right? Yeah. Now, Spotify pays artists 0.0003 cents per stream, right?
Yeah.
So to get $10 worth of streams as a listener, you have to listen to like 5,000 songs a month.
Right.
Right. So I don't know what the value is really in that. You'll never attain reaching 5,000 songs a month. So I think with the NFT, what we're doing now is we're actually giving something directly to them. Right. It may not be something they can totally hold in their hands, but where things are going eventually, Apple's developing augmented reality really heavily on their phone. So the artwork that comes with the NFT, we're going to be able to interact with it in a completely new way than we've ever done before. So to me, it's more of the experience is going to be the value of the NFT.
Absolutely, but what I was actually going to say is that what Blau's doing is he actually is imbuing his NFTs with intrinsic value, right? Yeah. Because he's saying, hey, if the owner or the holder of this NFT has access to the back of my shows, hey, the holder of this NFT is able to have a actual say on my record, right? Like, so he, in a way, is imbuing a digital token, something that inherently doesn't have any real value, like doesn't have any intrinsic value, with intrinsic value via his clout, his celebrity, essentially. Mm-hmm. Now, there's a whole bunch of, I guess, like questions that you could have and kind of ways to think about this, and this is just one. And I have mixed feelings with imbuing an NFT with intrinsic value outside of what is able to be stored into the NFT. So I have mixed feelings on that. I think it's a great way of getting people who normally would not be interested in NFTs to buy an NFT and take that risk, to do what he's doing. The same thing what Rack did with the cassette, right? Where you're saying, hey, this actually is redeemable as a physical, real, tangible, non-digital item. Right. Which is totally fine, and it's totally one way of doing it. Now, I'm a little bit on the side, and I think I talked about this in my video, of saying, okay, I want as much of the content that I'm giving you to be able to exist within this NFT, because in my perspective, this is a decentralization. This is if I were to die tomorrow, you still have value in this NFT, right? And that's kind of the way that I've thought about it, which is why when I talked about it in my video, I talked about, hey, if I'm going to release an NFT that's like a beat, I might want to consider uploading the video that has the audio so you can get a sample of what it sounds like to a decentralized YouTube, right? To prevent any possible YouTube stuff, right? You know, we never know, policies change. So you've got, decentralized YouTubes out there that you could upload the content to, and a decentralized storage platform to hold the if the placement into the NFT doesn't allow me to upload a big enough file, I would use a decentralized cloud storage to hold the contents of that NFT, so that if something were to happen, like, the content isn't lost. And that's a little tricky, but that is my way. And hopefully down the road there's a platform that does all this for us, so we're not out there trying to like piecemeal together an NFT because it's complicated. But,
so, real quick, there is a thing called the IPFS. It's the Interplanetary File System. And this is where, I don't know if you're familiar with the Euler Beats NFT.
Yes. Yeah.
So the Euler Beats NFT, the music and all the things that come with those NFTs are not stored on the EulerBeats.com website.
Okay.
Meaning if it ever goes down, like if Rarible, the website, ever goes down, everybody's content that's stored on Rarible, all those NFTs are lost. Because Rarible's a website.
Unless you have them in your
master contract. The smart contract lives on the blockchain, but the content for it lives on Rarible.
Gotcha.
Now, if you upload everything to the IPFS, the IPFS is file storage on the blockchain. So if websites go down, if everything goes down, you can still access all the parts of the NFT to reassemble it, and then you could resell it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a big concern, and that's part of my critique of the, having something out non-digital redeemable in an NFT is just that piece, right? Like,
right.
But at the same time,
right. How do you verify?
How do you verify?
I was going to actually sit down with you.
Yeah. How do you verify? How do you, and what if something were to happen? Like you buy an NFT, you're excited for Ultra, and then COVID 2.0 happens, and suddenly you don't have access. Like what happens then?
Well, so he did. Everybody that bought the higher level NFTs all have his phone number.
Oh, wow.
And he said that he's actually in contact with, this is like a whole new fan experience.
Right,
So he's in contact with all these people, so if something like that were to happen, he would work something out with them. I'm like almost positive. But cool. I agree with you, something like that that's like not quite tangible, or, this NFT, you can redeem it and get a vinyl. It's like, well...
You have to believe that exists.
Right.
I mean, granted, you'll ruin yourself if you're an artist and you do that. You fuck over your fans
Right.
because it's all written into the blockchain. But some people don't care. I mean, Jay Mazzini is scamming people out of like $27 million of blockchain or Bitcoin allegedly. But you know, like, it's like we have to be able to trust the NFT minter, and that works if you're Blau, that works if you're Illmind, that works if you're Rack, that works if you're a name, right? That doesn't work for Joe Schmo who has 16 monthly listeners on Spotify in some way. So they have, if you're Joe Schmo with 16 monthly listeners, you have to think about NFTs in a different way. These are what Rack is doing, and what Illmind is doing, and what Blau is doing are fantastic expressions of how the extent or the seeming extent at which NFTs are powerful for the music space, which is we shouldn't be scoffing at by any means, and I'm not doing that. But if you are a producer or an artist who is not as well known, you kind of have to think about what you can do that is equivalent, but doesn't require the same amount of clout, essentially, to be able to pull off, right?
I kind of like what you were saying earlier, because I totally agree with it, that the NFT is simply a tool. You still have to go out and hustle and sell the record, which is now the NFT that you're selling. So, like, to your point, if you only have 16 monthly listeners, well, the NFT is the least of your worries. You need to get more listeners.
Absolutely.
Then we can worry about the NFT in 6 months.
Yeah, you need to figure out your brand. What are you doing on your brand to make it work? What legwork are you putting in to hustle your brand out there and really get people, following you? What can you be doing? Can you work with someone who is a brand coach, right? Who can really help you develop your brand, or maybe it's something in your sound. Is there something, maybe you can get better mixes, or maybe you could spend a little bit more. Maybe it's just too soon, And maybe there's something else that you could turn into an NFT. You could be a musician who also is really good at graphic arts. Maybe you could just mint some of those, or 3D stuff, or maybe you could do a collaboration or a partnership or something. It doesn't have to be what we're talking about, what Blau is doing, what Illmind is doing. It could be something else.
The sky's the limit.
Yeah, exactly. And we're new enough in the space where it's like, I've said this, we're like in the Musical.ly phase of TikTok, right? Where it's not so saturated that you're never going to get seen, right? Like, it's still like, we're in the Clubhouse stage before everyone can now get on Clubhouse, right? So that to me is kind of where we're at. And so you should take advantage of that. You've got more potential exposure than you normally would with a social media platform right now. And once things become super easy for people to get into NFTs, you best believe like everyone and their mom is going to get into NFTs. But now is when you should be developing that space if you're interested in it.
Right.
And that comes with building your brand, marketing, figuring out NFTs, coming up with the best ones, messing around and getting on Reddit and learning about the NFT community on Reddit, finding Discord servers that are all about NFTs, finding Telegrams that are all about NFTs so you can share your work, get views, get potential interested buyers, build your name up. And that's ultimately...
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to encourage music artists to go out and learn about NFTs, and you're encouraging producers to. Do you think that there's also the group of people that just simply, they're not the people to really learn about it? So how do you help those people? Do you know what I mean? Like, bro, I'm a producer. I can't learn about this side of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you say to that person?
Honestly, I tell them, I say, well, you're essentially saying no to a whole new market audience that you normally would not have. That's what you're doing. That if you don't need NFTs in your career, then you're basically saying no to a whole potential market. Would you normally say, if you're selling iPhones and there's like a new market that you could market to in your advertising, and it's a community of people who normally wouldn't have access to that, would you just tell them, no, I don't care about that community? Like, no, you would figure out, all right, what can I do to be able to market to that community, right? And so in doing so, yeah, you might have to make some adjustments to your strategy. You might have to put a little bit of extra time into understanding something or hiring. I know that you offer NFT consultation services, so finding someone like yourself, reaching out to someone like me on Instagram or Twitter or Discord, or joining a Discord community. My Discord community is, at this point, mostly people who are into NFTs, because that's everyone who's finding my videos is like hopping on my Discord, like, and asking questions, because those people are going to answer them, you know? Or if someone goes to someone like you, you've got more experience, you're doing the research, you're out there constantly talking to people about them. So you would be definitely, you might pay for someone like your services, but you're going to get a more return on investment. But if you don't want to pay for those services, then you can hop on the Discords or the Twitter or whatever, or Clubhouse, to learn a little bit more and figure things out until you decide to actually hire someone to help you or do it yourself. So I would tell them, like, you're turning down a whole community, and that whole community are the third-party buyers, the non-end users, right? The non-fans, the scalpers, which is weird, but like in the NFT space, the scalpers are your friends. The scalpers are the people who are making your product worth more, right? The non-end users in other spaces are the people that you hate, because they're the ones making a bunch of extra money on your product, or maybe you like them. I think if you're Supreme, you probably like them because they've really exploded your brand. But like in a lot of places, they're not the people, because they're making money on you. But in NFT space, they may be making money on you, but you're also making money, because a lot of the times there's royalties, which doesn't exist elsewhere. So why would you turn that down? You've got a catalog of beats that could potentially be NFTs that are just collecting dust. Find some art, hire an artist, create an NFT, mint the NFT, upload it. Best case scenario, someone buys it. Worst case scenario, it just sits there. And you've got mintable gas lists and other places that you can do this for free. So it to me, the people who are saying no, it's the same people who are, it's the naysayers, it's the Alex Beckers, it's the people out there who are unwilling to like change or see an idea and actually at least try to think it through and give it a little bit of thought. They just see something new and immediately dismiss it. But I think also those people maybe have heard the name, seen the hype, and are kind of like, I don't know about that, rather than speaking to someone like you or me. Because I get tons of people on my channel who are naysayers or who are skeptical. And so I tell them, like, I have tried to answer basically every comment that is on my NFT videos. Like, if I see a comment, I do my best to respond. It's not always like a really long response, but a lot of times I'll write 5 minutes worth of a little paragraph saying, this is my thoughts on this. This is the stuff that you can look at. If you're interested in more, join my Discord. Like, that's what I tell them. Because it's like, listen, I'll do my best to answer your quick question, but if you want to know more, join us. Join the community, because NFTs are all about community. It's all about that community experience and the people who are doing it, because this is an exciting, revolutionary time that we're in with them. So join the community, ask the community questions. There might be something I can't answer, but there's probably someone on my server who could answer it, you know, or someone like yourself who can answer it. So, you know, for the people who are I don't know about it, what does it hurt spending an extra half an hour to an hour either doing the research or speaking with some people who have knowledge in NFTs and can give you case studies of examples where it works, you know? So
I think a big complaint that I hear is thinking in terms of right now.
Sure.
Like, oh, not everybody has wallets. Okay, but everybody is going to have wallets, you know? Oh, well, crypto is hard to get, but soon crypto won't be hard to get. And it's like, by the time we get to that point, do you want to be just learning about it, or, you know, do you want to be involved now and be ready at that point in time?
You will be, if you wait until Apple develops an NFT wallet or a crypto wallet, you will be behind the times.
Right.
Because Apple will make the best wallet, but it'll also be well after everyone else has created a great wallet. They'll
Right.
create the best user experience of a wallet, because that's what Apple does. They're fantastic at creating user experiences. But at that point, you might as well not even really create an NFT, because you're so far behind. You're like entering TikTok now,
Right.
where it's already blown up. Gary Vee is like exploited it to no end. Like if you join NFTs now, you are getting into NFTs when Gary Vee was just starting to kind of dance around the idea of TikTok.
Yeah.
Right? Like you are in the that like short time between Musical.ly and TikTok where Gary Vee's like, whoa, I see value in this, because he's talking about it. Gary Vee is kind of one of those, love him or hate him, one of those influencers who really pushes normies into a space. So it's like, you should be, if he's talking about it, you should probably be looking into it, to be completely honest, because it's going to blow up.
Right.
It's just a matter of time before there's 100 TikTok videos about how to download and install MetaMask, to be honest. Like, I feel like I need to make that TikTok here soon. Like, first do this like MetaMask, because you know that it's gonna happen. Like, there's gonna be.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you and I, because we know about it, like I asked a couple of people, like, why don't you have the digital wallet? And they were like, I just don't understand how to do it. And I was like, should I do a tutorial on it? And they were like, yeah.
I saw your
Like,
tutorial.
okay, then I'll do it. So yeah, it's kind of, we're so far into it, it's hard to think that like, oh shit, like maybe we do need some content. Like, you should do a TikTok on setting up that MetaMask wallet, the importance of doing it.
Yeah, and like, listen, I don't blame them. Listen, Ghost Market, right? Great platform theoretically, terrible user interface, horrible user interface, the worst. And like, what's KCal? Like, I do not understand what KCal is versus what Sol is. Right? And it's not clear, right? It says one KCal, but then there's Sol, but then what am I spending? Like, it's so unclear. And then on top of that, which wallet do you use? None of them are easily usable, and they don't fuse with stuff like MetaMask, which is one of the best wallets out there right now for Ethereum, right? So like, it's stuff like that like we may with MetaMask, we know what it is, we know how to use it, we've got the accounts, we've messed with it, stuff like that. But it's like, if we were to hop into a platform that has its own wallet, we might be even a little bit lost. So it is important that, and it makes sense why someone would be like, well, I just don't understand it, because it is tricky,
right?
And as someone who's worked in the tech space, helping people with electronic devices, I can tell you one thing, that there's going to have to be something that's done about it, which is the seed phrases. Like, I love them. It's a great idea. There's going to have to be an easier way of recovery, which on some level sucks because it does degrade the security. But I've worked in the tech troubleshooting space as like tech help desk type stuff, and 90% of my clients were I forgot my passwords. So I can tell you one thing.
This ain't gonna work.
Yeah, like some of that seed stuff, like I think it's great for what it is. It's very secure, encrypted, et cetera, and that's big. But there's going to have to be a better way of doing things. I think MetaMask is good with the QR code and some of that other stuff.
I think what they're going to do for the seed phrases is there's going to be companies that come along that are going to be custodians of your seed phrase. So you would store it on their site or whatever, but they have no way of looking at it. You know what I'm saying? It's on the blockchain. You're the only person that can access it, maybe with some other sort of thing, identification. They do CYK, I don't know. But yeah, some sort of custodial service that stores your password for you so you can forget it, contact them and pull it out of storage. And Ledger came out with a thing. It's like a little vial looking thing. And you're able to put your password inside of it, but or your seed phrase inside of it, but it only gives you like the first 4 letters of each word.
Oh, okay.
So that if you were to lose it and somebody found it, they still might not be able to get it. So at least, you get the trigger for what the word could be to put it in order. And the way you put each word in there, you stack them like kind of in the order that they would appear. That's
going to be a whole cottage industry right there, which is like wallets and like password storage for crypto wallets, right? Because I mean, I don't know if you've used have you ever heard of the platform Steemit or Steam?
Yeah.
right? Like that was like my first encounter with like crypto based like platform type stuff, and they have like 5 different like keys, and I'm just like, I don't know, like what am I gonna do with this, you know? But the more that you get involved with these spaces, you could have like a whole Google Doc of just like, which is not the best place to store it, but like you could have like pages after pages of seed phrases, keys, stuff like that, wallets, stuff like that. I like the fact that they are using domains now for like Ethereum addresses and stuff like that, because I have not gotten mine, which I'm sure there's someone out there who's going to hear this, and if they're a fan of mine, may buy my own and block me out of it, but I did not buy mine yet.
I did mine on Unstoppable Domains. This is interesting. So I bought mine on Unstoppable Domains. So mine's like deathbeach.crypto.
Yeah.
But also there's another one. I think it's called ENS.
Yeah.
And theirs is .eth. So it's weird because, like, in theory, somebody could buy deathbeach.eth and, you know, impersonate me and get money. So I bought that one too. But I'm just like thinking about that, the idea that businesses, you know, you'd be able to do that. It's not like they're in communication with each other. It's like, oh, he bought the .com, like that's it.
Kind of. Google some of those bigger businesses, they're actually blocked.
Oh, yeah, I tried to buy Amazon.crypto and I couldn't. I also tried to buy Beyonce and Rihanna, and then after I couldn't get those, I just stopped.
Yeah, a number of the big names, they've been smart, and they're like, listen, someone's going to fuck this up, so let's just prevent this from becoming a big thing. But it's a great space. The Bitcoin or the domain, the blockchain domains or the domain NFTs are great. It's almost like I've purchased some GoDaddy domains that are like I bought, I never used, and then I saw the value. I'm like, wow, okay, so that's worth like $1,000. Let me list it. It just happens to be, if you're thinking about a business idea and then you're like, you buy the domain and then you're like, I don't want to start it. You know, like it could potentially be of value, and then you can list it, and someone may down the road decide that they want to spend however much money you list it for. It's the same thing with the NFT domains, because you'll see people who will buy those some domains and then they'll relist it on OpenSea, and so people will then buy it that way. So it's definitely a really interesting, like, maybe you're a producer or an artist and you are interested in NFTs but you don't know where to start, and you start exploring, you might, if you've got some extra cash lying around, there might be some NFTs that just for fun you could get in and kind of learn and experience the process of buying an Ethereum domain or a crypto domain or any number of those things, to just kind of get a little taste of what it's like. And then from there you might be like, oh, it might open up, because that's kind of, for me, it was the process of doing the research and like learning that really unlocked my brain to some of these like possibilities. Right. So go out there and explore that if you're someone new to the space, because it may unlock some ideas that no one's ever thought of.
Yeah, it's kind of like in doing the research and figuring out like how to use Uniswap, I learned a lot about crypto and wallets and everything.
Well, you have to, especially with something like Uniswap, where theoretically you could accidentally buy the wrong crypto.
Buy the wrong token.
Yeah, and really screw yourself.
Right.
So it's definitely really interesting. It's really interesting. It's a lot, and I think that's again the biggest hurdle, is that, you know, it's getting the average person in the space who has never bought crypto before, you know, is, you know, new to the space. It's getting them. Now, I think that some fan bases are going to have an easier time at it. So this gets into that.
Right.
This gets into that conversation of, you know, some artists are going to be more successful based off of their brand than others, right? I think Blau has an edge because his fans are in the electronic space, and if they're also following him on Twitter, he's probably shared enough about NFTs and crypto that he's essentially groomed his fan base for NFTs, right? Illmind is a producer and a sample designer, and most producers tend to be more tech savvy. So by marketing his NFT out there, he's already got the following of people who are with it enough in the crypto space and stuff like that, or in the tech space, to be able to get it quicker, to understand it quicker.
Right.
If and then you've got the people like Shawn Mendes, Rihanna, who has released an NFT. It was through Genies, if I understand correctly, and Shawn Mendes. So their fan base isn't buying the NFTs. Or most of, it's probably not their fan base, I should say. It's people who know of them and know that they're big enough names. It's the scalpers who are buying those NFTs because it's a collectible item, right? It's fans of the Genie platform who are buying those NFTs. It's not the average Rihanna fan or the average Shawn Mendes fan, right? Like if Frank Sinatra released an NFT, it's not my girlfriend's step-parents who are buying the NFT. It's someone who's my age who knows Frank Sinatra is a big enough name, and if I buy that NFT and he dies, it's worth even more, right? Like, that's who's buying it. And I think that it's a matter of grooming your audience and kind of building them into someone who is technologically savvy and has heard NFT and sees the value in it. So that way, when you drop your NFT, they're like, boom, I want it. And that's the tricky part. That's probably the hardest part, right? Building an NFT isn't hard. Minting an NFT isn't hard. It's getting your fan base on board that's hard.
Well, and I think right now we are really early. And I think with that, it's a really good opportunity for people to bring their fans in right now. Be like, hey, I just downloaded this digital wallet. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And like, just do a little post about that and kind of engage people. And then boom, they'll be in the comments like, oh, which digital wallet did you use? Like, was it easy? Was it hard? It's a great way to kind of engage people right now, bring them along.
No, absolutely. It has to be. That's what you have to do, right? Especially right now. And the value in that is like, listen, if you're an artist and maybe you don't want to do that legwork, well, think about it this way: is it's like you bringing people in. You are now, your name is associated with NFTs. Right? Like I had some random person on Twitter who is like blue check marked, like share my video, and I have no idea who he was. He's someone in LA or in California and like in the crypto space, and I'm like, I don't know who you are, but like like you could build people, and actually you also, if you're an artist who, let's say you're normally attracting, maybe you're a female artist and you're normally attracting a lot of female artists. But you're interested in attracting a new demographic, maybe male, more tech savvy or whatnot. You may bring in a whole new audience if you start going down the NFT route that normally wouldn't follow you, because suddenly you have value to them, right? Like it's a great way to kind of like, it's like I do a lot of music tutorial videos, but I've got people joining my Discord who are rappers, right? Like I'm more catered to producers, but like. Rappers are hopping in because they're interested, or tech people are hopping in. And so it introduces a whole new community to your work. And so it's actually of extra value that you normally wouldn't get on Instagram or you normally wouldn't get on TikTok. So it's like, it makes sense to kind of like bring these folks in. Mm-hmm. So, and it's just, hopefully there is a better platforms that are built to be able to release NFTs than the current ones that exist. And I think that's ones that are more dedicated to music artists. That's a big one. And I'm sure that there are folks in the middle of, in the midst, creating those infrastructures.
I mean, honestly, so Blau's talking about releasing the way he did his NFT for other people to be able to adapt it.
Okay.
I've talked to some coders. I've talked to a lot of people, and whenever I tell them there is no music NFT platform, they all say the same thing. No. Somebody has to be doing it. I haven't come across anybody doing it yet. So it's pretty interesting. It is a hole that needs to be filled, and it is something that is a big challenge.
I would say there's probably people thinking about it, and there's people kind of building business proposals, having people sign NDAs, and like creating, like there's people out there who are probably discussing it, but there isn't anything out there that exists yet. And so that's the kicker: is who's going to be first? Who's going to be the Spotify for the NFT space, right? Who's going to be the, for the music side of the NFT space, right? Like that's the, one that has fantastic user interface that allows people to upload tracks or upload beat packs or stuff like, or packs, like stems and stuff like that. So, and it's harder than just graphic art, right? Because, for example, right, it's going to cost a whole lot more in gas if you are releasing an NFT that has, that has a bunch of extra files, because that has to be written on the code. Now, have you seen NFT.cred? Have you heard of that platform?
No.
You should search NFT.cred after we get off this line. They use two different types of crypto to basically mint an NFT, kind of like Mintable does, to alleviate some of the lifting. But they consider themselves dynamic NFTs. So they actually market to businesses, influencers, and personal. So they've got like a couple different ones, and you buy the number of tokens per month. So you pay a subscription of like $100 or however much money a month for 1,000 NFTs or something like that, that you can mint. And so I don't think there's any gas fees for minting with that. And their user interface is fantastic. I just want something similar to that for the beat makers and the artists, that isn't just the way that like NFT.cred does it. Also, NFT.cred sells their own domain, so you should check them out, because they have a .cred and a .zil domain.
Yeah.
So
the ETH one that I have, or the crypto domains, the .crypto, they sell .zil as well.
Gotcha. So, and that's a big question I get, which is like, which platform should I mint on, or what should I do? And so there's a lot of people who have a lot of questions out there. And that's why, like, I intend to release more videos, and I'm doing this video with you, and you're out there putting out way more content than I am when it comes to the NFT space. But, it's just a matter of time.
Right. Absolutely.
It's just a matter of time, and we'll have to see. Or it all pops, and then it does that for a bit, and then who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I do think we'll level out a little bit, but I just looking at like augmented reality, virtual reality. I don't know if you've heard of the metaverse yet.
Is that through Decentraland, or what is that?
The metaverse is, I've been liking it to like walking into Tron. Okay. Is what they're trying to do. So it's going to be, it's the makers of Fortnite are developing it. Okay. And basically it's going to be like a virtual reality world that connects all the other worlds. So the metaverse will contain Fortnite. It'll contain, I don't know, another popular game. This is where we can start taking assets from one game.
Oh, that's cool.
To another game. And then now this is where I see NFTs kind of coming in too.
Oh, yeah.
So as a producer, you can make NFT for like your merch. And it's like a digital t-shirt that your avatar wears to digital concerts in the metaverse.
That's cool.
And then you can go to digital concerts, or you can wear that shirt into Fortnite. And now your character in Fortnite's wearing the band t-shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I see a lot of this stuff kind of heading to. And with this, like next 5 years, like we're going to see augmented reality on phones.
Oh, yeah.
Within here.
Well, you already have LiDAR scanners on the iPhones and stuff like that, or not the iPhones, the iPads. No, and this is like, listen, if you're an artist or a producer listening to this video, you should, on top of doing the research for NFTs, you should probably make sure you've got a couple of graphic and software developer friends kind of in the bag, because like you're gonna, just as much as you might need a manager, you're going to need that sort of space too. Because if you want to really be able to push the boundaries in this stuff, you are going to need to enlist that support. You may have videographer friends or photographer friends that are out there taking Instagram photos for you, but you need to have the developer friends. So, you need to be out there, networking with those folks. Discord is a great place for that, The graphic designers, the people who are big on 3D design, who can create really cool, unique, three-dimensional items that you can essentially turn into NFTs. You need to make sure you're connecting with those people, because especially if the metaverse becoming more of a reality, you're going to want someone to create you, t-shirts or sweatshirts or other merch, patches, whatnot, for these avatars as potential items to sell. And you're going to need someone who knows how to develop code and knows how to do, that sort of programming to be able to create that content. Unless which will inevitably happen, will be some sort of platform that makes that easier for you. But if you want to be the first to that space, you better know those people. So right. Networking is key when it comes to this. Huge. So, and that's the same thing for people who are doing building labels, right? Like if you're a label and you're not thinking about NFTs, you're behind the times. If you're a label, you're not thinking on how you can work with your artists on coming up with good NFT stuff, you're behind the times, and you're doing it wrong, because it's inevitable that someone's going to say they're going to have a couple of different labels who are offering them, to publish their record, but they're going to be saying, well, what are you doing in the NFT space? Right. So I think everyone in the music space can learn from this and should be doing that research and watching YouTube videos and digging online, Cointelegraph, Twitter, Reddit, Discord, Clubhouse, whatever, and trying to get that knowledge, because it's important. And I tell everyone, listen, you want some ideas from me, join my Discord, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, in the comments on these videos, whatnot. You're there. You've got your website's got, I'm sure you're open to answering questions, but if you want more in-depth consultation or kind of like a strategic plan, you've got your rates listed on your website. So.
And I even like too, just getting like the random question from people that kind of don't understand stuff. I like answering those questions, and right now too, the questions also sometimes give me something to kind of go and research.
Absolutely, and that's why I get questions that I don't know how to answer, or that I don't have a good answer, and so I'll tell them. I'll be honest. I'm not trying to pump NFTs, right? Like I don't have any real. I'm not making any money off of pumping NFTs, right? Like for me, it's like I don't have stake. It's not like I own. It's not like I'm trying to pump Dogecoin or something like that, right? Like I'm not answering Dogecoin questions and trying to pump it, right? Like I don't have, So I'll tell you if I think and I tell people, listen, it could be a bubble. It could burst, right? I tell people look at Rack, right? That token went from $20 to couple grand and then back down to 200, right? There was a boom and a bust. So the inevitable could happen. And listen, Ethereum could drop down to a couple of pennies and make NFTs rendered nearly useless or valueless. But I think that's rare. I think that's probably improbable, but it's a possibility. Right. I think there'll be a correction if that happens. If Ethereum drops to a penny, those NFTs that are listed for 1 Ethereum are going to go for 1,000 Ethereum. But at the same time, that's the beauty of crypto, is it does this, and that's why it has value on some level. So, yeah. So it's definitely interesting stuff, and there's so much to be discussed over this stuff, and questions to be answered. What are some other questions that you're getting from folks?
I've had people ask me about kind of the utility of it, a few different ways that you can use them. People ask me a lot just kind of what the basic premise is. See, everybody wants to understand fungible, and they want to wrap their head around the concept.
Right.
It's not really important.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's important to a degree, but like, you don't know how email works. You don't know how the internet works. Like, you don't really have to know how it works. But a big question is, you know, what is it? Because whenever you get into an NFT, can represent a house. It can represent a Louis Vuitton bag. It can be used in supply chain for food that you're buying at the grocery store. Now people are like, I don't know what this fucking thing is that we're talking about. So I liken it to it's really just computer code that is backed by a smart contract that just lets us know the realness of something or authenticates it as a unique thing.
Yep.
And I liken it to, it's like Bitcoin is like programmable money. The NFTs for in the music space are like programmable wave files. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
This is a question that I get because it's inevitable to happen. That's inevitably to become a major question. I've gotten the question of NFTs are huge power consumers, like electricity. Mm-hmm. And I never actually know how to answer that question because, like, mining NFTs, mining crypto it's a huge power consumer. Now, I think that my rebuttal is like, well, it may be a huge power consumer, but we should be in general looking at green technology and renewable resources in general, right? Like, that's what we should be doing. Like, I hate the fact that we're still using a significant amount of fossil fuel. That's just me, my human rights background. But they use that as kind of this kind of rebuttal to the idea of getting to NFTs. It's like, oh, well, we're just perpetuating more of the destruction of the planet. Do you get that question very much at all?
I don't get that question, but I do have a few thoughts.
I'm curious,
just kind of on it off the cuff. Well, one would be, you know, within the physical world and music merchandise, I imagine we're creating much more waste than narrowing it down just to electrical waste. But I would say the mining with electricity is more just broadly crypto related than it is NFT related. So Bitcoin is mined with electricity, and currently Ethereum is as well. But Ethereum's switching from it's called proof of work whenever it's mined by electricity.
Right.
And then proof of stake is what Ethereum's moving to, which is where it's all done with the validator nodes being kind of backed by enough crypto. Like, I'm not totally sure how they actually do it really with the proof of stake. But that's why Ethereum's moving over to doing that. And then a lot of other platforms are actually proof of stake. And there's a few other methods to generating the tokens.
Sure.
So right now, that's all transferring over. That's one thing. And then there is a platform called Energy Web Token, and they're on the Polkadot blockchain.
Okay.
But there's other ones that are like them, but they're basically working to bring the power grid onto the blockchain.
Okay.
And to find ways to make it more green.
Okay.
So
cool.
that bringing the power grid onto the blockchain could mean electricity. It could mean green energy. But it's look into that platform. I know
Definitely.
like Elon Musk is real into them. But they're looking for ways to do green solutions in relation to blockchain technology. So that stuff's all in the works. Like right now, this is actually a good way to think of this. So we're essentially in the industrial revolution of crypto. And soon we'll be moving into the next phase where, you know, we have cleaner filters on things and we're not burning coal and we're not doing these things. And eventually it'll get greener. But right now, to make the massive growth and the massive changes, we need to kind of utilize that power.
It's like relying upon the technology that already exists versus the new technology that makes it more efficient. No, that's really cool. And that I hope that's definitely gives me good information that I can respond to some folks with just thinking about it, because I've not really known. I mean, my thing is usually just telling people, well, you know, it's we should be moving to green anyway, and like electricity is going to be burnt regardless. But that makes sense in the concept
also
of
too. If let's just assume in 10 years everybody switches to solar power, does it matter how much electricity we're using?
it's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer to that would be on, the part of those people, but, I would think that things are moving in a generally more green direction.
Sure.
So I think that, that kind of taxing on the environment is going to be a little bit less and less over time.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Have you explored? So are you predominantly more interested in the Ethereum NFTs, or have you been kind of like exploring like Wax, Ghost Market? I know Cardano recently did the Merry Hard Fork, so they may soon become a player. Because I know that the big gripe that a lot of people have, which I definitely have, is gas cost, right? It's hard, and then minting gasless with Mintable is fantastic, but you can't control your royalties. You've got less control overall. What are you kind of, where are you at on that stuff?
So in June or July, there's going to be a new Ethereum protocol going into place, which has to do with the switching to staking.
Okay.
However, there's another protocol that's out there right now that has to do with the royalties between platforms. So if you create something on Rarible, it has to resell on Rarible for you to get the royalties.
Oh, gotcha.
Currently.
Gotcha.
Now, Mintable has already adapted this protocol change, but we're waiting for the other platform. This is coming really soon, really soon.
Cool. I didn't realize
but
that.
The other Ethereum protocol that's going in July is meant to lower gas fees. So we're months away from gas coming down. That's one thing. The other thing is, right now everybody's thinking of, and this is a problem with, well, should I do an Ethereum NFT? Should I do a Wax? We're thinking of all these platforms separate.
Right.
And very soon they're all going to communicate, and it won't really matter. And whenever the gas is down for Ethereum and it all costs the same, it won't matter much. So then at that point, it becomes more about, like we're talking about, there's not a music platform, right? So if the music platform's on Cardano, well, I'm fucking minting my NFTs on Cardano.
Right.
But if I'm doing a movie-related thing, then I'm going to use like Terra Virtua. Or if I'm doing a certain kind of collectible thing, I might want to use Wax. Right. So I think the platforms will be used more like that. Like, my project matches this platform better, so I'm going to mint on there. But eventually, anybody from any platform is going to be able to access those NFTs and sell them across blockchains, and you get the royalty payments. Which is what Polkadot is working really hard on. Their blockchain is the blockchain that's going to connect all the other blockchains.
Gotcha.
And make them interoperable is the word that they use.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, because that is a question. That's one of the big things, is like, well, where do I mint it? There's so many decisions, so many choices. I don't quite understand. You got, Ghost Market. You got all these different platforms, and it's like, because that infrastructure doesn't exist right now, there's just so many of these, like, well, which one is better? Which one do I do? Yada, yada, yada. And
I like Mintable.
You like Mintable?
Yeah, because talking about user interface, where you're gonna, there's actually other platforms I do like more, but a lot of them are invite only right now. So as far as
like Super Rare and Nifty and stuff like that.
Yes, Super Rare is invite only. The Nifty Gateway is, I believe Wax is. I don't think you and I can just go mint on Wax right now.
It's like if you're a developer, you can use Wax. But they offer tools, but they don't have like they don't have like a Rarible type, like, easy to use platform right now, from my understanding.
Right. So right now with all the there's another one called Foundation, actually, that has some good music stuff on there. Jacques Green is on Warp Records, and his NFT's on there. The song's okay, to be honest with you. It's not that great, but what he did with his was he sold the master rights with the NFT. Yeah. So the owner of it can get royalties as the song plays, which is, an incentive to the owner of it. But that platform looks really good, but it's invite only. So of the ones that are available, I think Mintable has the nicest interface for people to use, and the art that's on there looks cool. Some of the other ones I've been to, the artwork's a little janky, the user interface is janky, and then it just all looks cheap to me.
I feel like Rarible has the best interface, but the fees are just unbearable. It's like I've wanted to mint on Rarible. In fact, I think I initially tried to mint on Rarible because it's got a very cartoonish, very cartoonish feel to it, and it seems pretty straightforward, and there's a lot of it's very clean, but it's just the fees are just unbearable, so I haven't been able to use them, whereas Mintable,
I think that might be a deterrent to keep other people off of there. You know what I mean? So if I'm not a good artist and I kind of know it, am I going to really spend that much money getting it on Rarible?
Well,
or am I going to go put it on another site?
But the fees are only gas related. That's
okay.
Yeah. I mean, they don't really have. It's just gas fees. It's because of the expensive gas. Once gas goes down, it won't be a problem. But I had an NFT that's basically I wasted $30 on because I tried to mint it. I didn't realize that, and this is something that anyone who's about to try to mint on Rarible, consider this. You have the initial cost of minting the NFT, but then you have the gas fee. So at least with Rarible, you have that. And so I was able to afford the initial cost, right? I got enough Ethereum into my wallet for that cost. But when they came up with the gas, I was thinking, oh yeah, it won't be that much money. I didn't realize that that initial fee didn't include the gas. And so the gas was $150. And at that point, I couldn't really cancel it. I'd already paid my fee, which really sucked because I paid basically $30 to mint this thing or $20 to mint this thing. And so I was I used MetaMask to bring the gas cost down, but then it just never minted.
Right.
So I'm out $30, you know?
Right.
So keep that in mind.
They're working on solutions for that because that happens a lot where you pay for the thing to happen and you have to pay gas for that, and then you have to pay more gas on top. I always feel like I'm paying double on everything.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the money for the second transaction, then it just kind of voids the first one, but you already spent the money. They are working on a solution for that where it's easier to bundle it together and then do it all in one.
Just needs to be more transparent, I think, is the process.
Right.
The problem is it's not transparent enough right now.
Right.
And that's one of the beauty of the gasless option. Even if you don't get to be customizable with your, you can't really customize your royalty rates with Mintable. The gasless option allows you to truly mint the whole process, boom, right there, and release it. Now, there's limitations, but it's a great platform for people trying to dip their toes into the NFT space.
Right, and that's why I like it. It's just it's pretty easy, and then it looks good.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Mark Cuban backed it, so you've got a little bit of clout going on behind that space as well from people in the entrepreneurial space. But yeah, so there's a lot. There's a lot to cover. Do you have any other thoughts or things you want to touch on?
The only other thing I'll leave you with is the circling all the way back to the beginning. The idea of DeFi and NFTs coming together.
Okay.
So an NFT can represent a painting, right?
Yes.
So just for example, we're going to use the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
So we could have an NFT representing the Mona Lisa, and it could be worth $10 million. Now, you and we never have a chance at owning the Mona Lisa.
Right.
Unless you take that NFT token and you have a way to break it up and fractionalize it. And now you could either rent out pieces of it fractionalized, or you could sell pieces of it fractionalized. And so here we turn the NFT token sort of into almost like an index or shares of the painting. So that kind of stuff's coming. And then what's really cool is we're going to be able to do this with music rights. To where you can create an NFT out of your music rights and basically sell shares of it. For an album or for a whole catalog.
That makes sense. I know that's definitely something that I've heard kind of people kind of asking questions about. I had someone ask me, could you use NFTs for influencers? Could like an influencer sell their social media presence as a NFT? And if you kind of have that fractionalization where you've got kind of this like DeFi NFT space for an influencer like a TikTok star or Instagram star, which I'm not really in that space, so I don't have enough followers to warrant anything like that. But like I could see like a Kim Kardashian, like there's someone's gonna buy shares of Kim Kardashian's social media presence, and so that makes sense. That would be that's going to be an interesting kind of evolution. It's kind of like IPOing without IPOing. What?
It's not legal yet because you're basically creating like a index fund.
Yeah.
Out of yourself, so it's like not cleared with the SEC yet, but obviously they're going to have to do something like this because this type of stuff is coming.
Yeah, and it's essentially like a junior IPO in a sense. It's kind of like an IPO without being an IPO. And I know the people that I've chatted with, I bring up like, because I have an interest in stocks and stuff like that. And it's like, well, keep in mind the reason why you've got these IPOs, they're LLCs or not LLCs, they're corporations, and then they've got shareholders. So, and then they report to those shareholders on some level, and those shareholders play a role. So if you wanted to do this junior IPO, minting an NFT that is your presence, like, well, either A, people have to be willing to buy that presence just to have that presence, and it holds value whether or not you like based off of the moves you make, where you're just kind of like buying it and it rises or falls based off of the presence of the influencer, or you have to tie it into some sort of communication between NFT holders, the shareholders, and the influencer, who then have a say, and it becomes kind of like a public company in a sense. But we'll just have to see, because who the hell knows where any of that is headed. These are all interesting theories to think about, and I'm excited about it. And if you're in the space and you're watching this video, you should be thinking about that and like Googling what is DeFi and like what are some of these things, because if you can follow those things on Twitter or Reddit or Instagram or whatnot, you could be ahead of the curve because you're seeing the news and you're researching the news. So that way, when things drop, you can be the first to the space.
Absolutely.
And that's what ultimately is important if you want to be successful in the space. But anything else?
That's all I got for you.
Yeah, that's all I got at this time too. Again, follow my, I've got, follow me on Twitter, Kevin Savage at NYC. Same thing with Instagram, Kevin Savage NYC. Like, comment, subscribe this video. Like, comment, and subscribe all of your stuff as well. For those of you who are on my channel watching this video, if you want to learn a whole bunch about NFTs that are like outside of the stuff that I cover, your stuff is fantastic for that. And so it's definitely worth kind of subscribing and checking out and, asking questions in your comments. And I'm sure there's people who you have who are, dedicated followers who are answering questions. Or have you got a Discord or anything like that you've got up yet?
I don't have a Discord. A couple people have suggested that I start one.
You should.
I just haven't haven't done it. I mean, honestly, my YouTube channel, I let it lay dormant for a while and just jumped back on that. And then that's why now people are suggesting I do a Discord. So,
after this video, we'll have a chat, because I can help you out with the Discord and help you with setting that stuff up. So that way you've got a place where people can, hop on and chat with you and chat with your followers and whatnot.
For sure. So. And so just real quick, Death Beach on YouTube and at deathbeach_ on Instagram. And anybody watching this on my channel, Kevin Savage here has got you, if you're a producer, regarding the NFTs and possibly some tutorials.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for reaching out, and I'm glad you did. I was actually really excited when I saw you pop up on my in my comments. I'm like, hell yeah, this is awesome. I'm sure we'll connect again and do another video like this. But in the meantime, keep checking out NFTs. So,
awesome.
All right. Peace.
Cool. Peace.
All right. Later.